will say quickly before we get started, if we could just take a second and remember Mary Tyree. She was devoted to this community, a part of anything that I ever had to do with anything out in this area the entire time I've been in public service. So if we could just take a quick second. Thank you all very much. Quickly been told, so the heaters, air conditioners, they're going to run unless they turn off, right? So that's just the way it's going to go. There's no way to do that here. It's all controlled at the district office. So if they decide to turn them off back there, then that noise will go away. So again, wanted to take an opportunity to just thank you all for coming out. It's really important that you know and understand that this is your district. Right? This was born from a conversation that we had out here. I don't know who was here just under a year ago, but we had a really tough conversation, and the commissioners listened. I can tell you I'm very excited right now with the approach that we're getting and trying to address those concerns from the new administration of the Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Mitchell. Thank you and your team for being out here. Extremely important. I can't tell you how appreciative I am. Also want to quickly point out we have some other law enforcement executives in the room. Chief Dettinger from the City of Klamath Falls, thank you, sir, for being out here. Tom Hoy from Tule Lake and the Chief of Malin as well, thank you, sir, for being here. They have been part of a working group of law enforcement professionals, elected leaders, trying to address policing all over Klamath County, and more specifically, the effort right here in East County. So at that town hall that we had, what month was that? Like 9-10 months ago. We heard a lot, and none less than this. Folks were telling us we don't feel safe. And I just want you to know we heard you, and we went back and we did what you asked us to do. We tried to find a solution. And after now a couple more town halls, having some more conversations like this, having one-on-ones, just a lot of conversation working with the sheriff and his input with his team has made some changes, hearing what you had concerns about how it was going to cost you, who it was going to cost, who's bearing the cost. People with multiple tax lot, producers, farmers, all of that stuff we've tried to address. I'm going to go over that a little bit tonight. So to back up, if folks will remember, when we first presented this, we presented it as it was $72 a year, $6 a month for every tax lot. And why was it every tax lot and not done at a value rate or a per thousand that you see most tax measures? And that really is because at the time, the map is adjusted a little bit and we can go over why. But there was just under 16,000, 15,800, now it's just 17,800 tax lots in the district. And 2/3 of those were owned by people that don't live here. They don't live anywhere in Klamath County. They're absentee landowners that don't necessarily take care of their land, don't necessarily watch who's on their land, and we have a rate of crime that's coming from that area that is harmful to the people that live here. So we tried to figure out a way, how can we make sure that they're paying for it also, and not just borne by the people who live here, addressing an issue that predominantly is coming from people who don't, and that is doing it by tax lot. Now, also by tax lot, there's a lot of people, many of you in the room, that own more than one. In fact, multiple tax lots. Some of you, several tax lots. And we found ways to address that. So there's two ways. One of them is pretty straightforward, and that is for residential lots, or lots zoned in other ways. And another for farm use. So for lots that are residential, we worked with the planning department. We came up with an expedited process for which you'll be able to consolidate your lots if that's what you wish to do. Well, let me be clear, if you have 3 tax lots and you don't want to have to pay it on every one of your tax lots, you would have to vacate the lot lines or combine those lots. There's no way to do that otherwise for those that are not farmland or EFU. But we can also make it to where it really doesn't cost you anything when you go through the county. The real expense for those folks is going to be developing a new lot description, which you're going to have to go talk to a private surveyor to do. We in the county can't do that portion for you. And what I also heard was from Ag. And I want to give a shout out to our assessor, Nathan Bigby, down here at the end. On one of your sheets, you'll see a form that he created. And this is for folks that have ag land. This is a way to reduce your costs by really up to 75%. So he can explain it further if you have specific questions, but I'll boil it down to this. All of the lots, for him to be able to do what he has figured out a way to do administratively, have to still be on the same lot map. A lot of fancy things. But if you do, you can take 4 lots and you can designate this is the one that you're going to tax. And then you can take another group of 4 and another group of 4 and so on and so forth. Thereby reducing your cost if you're a farmer or producer on EFU by up to 75%. And I hope that addresses your concerns. So a lot of work went into that. Gosh, that's about it. You'll see an adjustment to the lot map over here, and that is it doesn't curve away from Merrill and Lynn and instead kind of includes that area, although it does not include the incorporated areas of Merrill and Lynn. They have their own police departments. So if their councils were to approach us and say, no, we want to be included, we can address that. But as of right now, those are excluded from the service area. That really was born from a conversation of how do you provide coverage to everything? How does the county connect? And really, that area connected through Hartgold. There's no other way to do it if, by any chance, later down the road, West County decides to do something similar. So again, here to answer any of your questions, Sheriff Mitchell is going to talk for a little bit next. I won't leave until, again, I've answered all of your questions again, to the very best of my ability. If I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know, but I think I've pretty much covered everything, and hopefully we have come back for the last time addressing your concerns as best we can to be able to provide the service that you've asked us to provide. At the end of the day, if it's not something that you want, then you just say, Commissioner, no, we're good. We're happy with the way things are. But I don't believe that to be the case. That's not what I heard last time I was here. And before I turn it over to the sheriff, I want to talk to you just about one last thing, and that is the county's budget and some issues that we're running into that's going to make this even more difficult going forward. We're going to figure out a way to keep the service levels, hopefully, where they are for as long as we possibly can, hopefully another year. But folks, we've been hit hard as county government when it comes to budgets. When we're receiving tax revenues, and the federal government decides not to put water on farmland, those values decrease and we collect less taxes. When they remove dams, we collect less taxes. When the Department of Revenue, in their infinite wisdom, decides to decrease the value of a pipeline going through our county by $1 billion, it decreases our taxes. So we're ending up with, and we've had a lot of significant growth in Klamath County. And thank God for that. Because had it not, we'd actually be collecting less taxes today than we were 5 years ago. Yet the expense to provide the service has gone up, just like the price of groceries has gone up for the rest of you. The price of everything has gone skyrocketed the last 3 years. And government is not exempt from that. The cost of employees have gone up just as much. The cost for gas for us has gone up just as much. Or to take care of a vehicle, or buy a vehicle, or provide materials for people to do their jobs. So we're trying to figure that out, and we're working extremely hard. I can guarantee you, if there's a dollar, we'll find it and pinch it. But it's difficult. Take a look at this map down here. I wanted to point that out. All of the pink, that's owned by the federal government. They don't pay taxes. And today, I heard from one of our legislative staff back in Washington, D.C., that Secure Rural Schools does not have a path to being renewed again this year, meaning an additional loss of $6 million to the county. 25% of which goes to schools, but $4.2 million that we won't get again this year. So it's not like we're just not providing it because we can't. We're figuring out a way, but pretty soon that way goes away, right? At some point the checkbook is empty and we don't have a way to provide that service. So I do want you to keep that in mind. That's a big change since the last time we talked, but it's not like it's getting any easier. Sheriff Mitchell.
I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight to listen to us and see what we have to provide for you guys. Some of you went to my forums, some of you didn't. My biggest hit was public safety. And I was against asking money from the people. And I'll be upfront with this. I didn't want to do it. But I was sitting in meetings, seeing where the county is at right now. Last June, we had a budget for the current sheriff, Chris Kaler. By August, we were put on a hiring freeze. We are 8 positions short. So to get public safety out here, and the money that they're putting in for it, what you guys will be paying, that would incorporate 1 sergeant and 4 deputies. We only dedicated to this area that is shown on the mapping system. If those positions are not filled, that money goes into a bank. It does not go anywhere, only to public safety. So there would be an MOU set if a major catastrophe hit somewhere else in the county that the deputies here would be going out to help, but then they would come right back into their area. In that mapping area, that's the only areas that they would patrol. It'd be just like your own 5 resident deputies. They know who's doing the crimes and who's who. I'm going to throw some numbers out. Just from January 1 to today, 30 days, there's been a total of 2,787 calls for service within the county, 6,200 square miles with 15 patrol deputies. 3 of those are sergeants. The area of 5 Adam, which is just the Bonanza area, have a total of 20 calls for service. 5 Sam, which goes north from Derry all the way to the county line, 240 calls. 9 Sam, which will include Merrill Lynn, Hartwell, 72 calls for service. So there's quite a few calls of service in your area alone that we're having to send people out back and forth. You have your drive time, half hour, 45 minutes to an hour, depending on where we're at. If you have the 5 dedicated people here, short that time, they can do the investigations and locate who's there and take them to jail. I know a lot of people are complaining about right now about our jail right now. Yes, we're down to 1 pod. We are trying to fill that. We cannot get people to pass the background or the psychology test right now. We are trying. We've been trying since August. Right now, I just did another background set off today. Hopefully, we can get those positions filled. We're also looking at other avenues to get that jail filled, to get the pod open, so we can start holding more people. But the quality of people that are in this area that we're getting recruited is not making it. So we're trying to find the best service for you guys out here in the area to make that happen. Is there any questions for me?
Will they be housed in Bonanza?
So with that, we would make a substation here in Bonanza. So this is where they'd be working out at. I've also been talking with the commissioners and trying to find homes that they endure to make resident homes. So
Would they report to you?
they would still report to me.
They'd be just part of the show.
They'd be part of the sheriff's office, yes.
If you can't find people to hire for your current office, how are you going to find people to hire for this new district?
So right now, it is hard to get people to come to Klamath Falls because we don't have a permanent set budget. I can't attract people here when they're going to be told year by year that they're going to lose their job. Bonanza, if you guys set your budget, it is set in place, I can attract people. They know where they're going to work. They're not going to be hit for next year they're going to get laid off. So we're trying to do this everywhere. You guys are being the model, but you're going to be my first push. Because I hear that the griping, the argument, you guys don't never out here. I have increased in patrols out here since I've been promoting for election. And I made it, and I'm still doing it. But getting people out here, sometimes difficult. I had a sergeant out here almost all day, going from call to call in your area. So I'm trying to get the visibility out here like I promised everybody, and I'm still doing it. My new sheriff, he's got a marked patrol unit. I'm getting another pickup decal next week, which I'll be driving because I want visibility out here. And I will be out here going to the meetings.
You go that way and they're out. That's every time. You're saying they come out? Yeah, they go right out and out.
So right now I have an SRO that is here 2 days a week.
Don't tell me they're here. I'm so tired of this.
What are you going to do about the court problem? Why Mountain, Wayne Valley, the squatters, the ones starting fires. These deputies out here aren't going to do what you squat. What you need is a task force to go through these outlying areas and get rid of them. Your health department, your fire department, your building department. They can tell me on my house that if it's on my front rail or an inch far apart, but they can't stop somebody from moving the building up on the mountain. And they drive right by it.
So with that tax base, that's going to include one code enforcement officer for this area as well.
No. What are you going to do about getting rid of the existing problem? The one that nobody can leave their houses because they come back to nothing.
That's why we need to get law enforcement out here.
That's not going to do it. You need to do a law enforcement suite with the building department, code enforcement, health department, fire department. Use all the assets you have available to you instead of just throwing one part out.
You know, I came into this, I knew it was going to be ugly, but I didn't know the office was in such turmoil as it is right now. I'll be honest with you. But I can only make changes right now.
Your office, every officer I've ever had contact with, first question is, what's going on?
What do you want me to do?
The second question is, what do you want me to do about it?
And that will change.
I've never seen a change.
I've talked
To
to
a sergeant, I almost got ran over by a FedEx driver.
They talk to you
And
about that.
You talked to me, I came out there. I talked to you on the phone.
Yeah, no, we came in and talked to you, and you promised me you'd get a restraining order and there'd be a report filed. There was no report filed. Nobody interviewed the witnesses.
I mean, one sheriff.
Not one. Rogers was out here and told me I was going to get shit.
Yeah. And they talked to you about that.
So, you know, what faith do we have in you? What says you won't take this money and allocate it to somewhere else?
Yeah, over there, where they got all the money.
So how that is set up, that money stays in the pocket. It does not go anywhere other.
But what stops you from it? It's not that you can't do it.
Right. No, actually,
And
it
why,
is.
and why should I trust you?
Well, I don't want to go to jail.
You haven't backed up anything you've said before.
I think I have.
No.
But we're going to give other people an opportunity. I'm going to answer your questions, but we're going to give other people an opportunity.
Answer my question.
I am going to answer your questions.
Answer my question about the core problem. Why now? Bonanza Valley, the squatters, the green.
I will. So, this is the same question that we heard when we were out here 9 months ago.
Yeah.
But I can tell you right now, if I send the building department, the code enforcement department, the fire department, none of them are showing up without the sheriff's department,
Exactly.
right? Well, this is to get the sheriff's department, right? This is to have the law enforcement, armed individuals there to protect people to go out and get that piece done. We can do what you're asking to do, but we can't do it without people that are there to protect the people that are going out to do it.
You can get other resources from other parts of the state.
No, I can't.
Here's the other thing.
No, I can't. Okay, next question.
There you go.
We can talk again offline.
Okay, my question is around the code enforcement. How are you going to ensure that the code enforcement officers are self-sufficient and that the fines that they set are actually going to be paid when you guys sell off properties for the tax liens?
You're gonna have to repeat that, because I had a hard time hearing you, I'm sorry. I'm half deaf, I'm not half quiet, but I am half deaf.
So when you have code enforcement officers that go out, how are you going to ensure that whoever you hire is self-sufficient to do the needs, the fines, all the paperwork that's required? And how are you going to make sure, where is that money going to go? Are you guys going to fold and just auction off lands that have liens on them for the cost of the land, or are you giving them liens? And is that money going to come back to us?
So that's a very complex question, and only because there's some things going on in the legislature about how county governments can foreclose on properties right now. So it's a difficult question to answer in that regard. In fact, right now, we're not even allowed to sell some of those tax foreclosed properties. But we have been working on a process, and if I get this wrong, my colleagues will correct me, in which we can start placing liens from code enforcement offenses that have been adjudicated through the justice court, and then go after those landowners, right? But it's attached to the land. And then we would go after those landowners up to and including foreclosure. Also what's being decided in the legislature right now. So the legislature right now is having a discussion specifically about these types of things that says that the cost to cure can go to what you spent to do it. But they're trying, and then the excess usually went into a pot, and that pot would take care of properties where you lost money by cleaning up the problem, right? You take the property back, and then you send people out, you clean it up. Well, if the fines and fees or the back taxes or whatever covered that, which I'm going to tell you right now, not often, but sometimes, and there was an excess, you could take that excess and then set it aside to clean up the next property, right? Where you had a deficiency. Now they're trying to say, no, that excess is going to go back to the landowner, that was their equity. Right? So, sorry, I shouldn't do that in front of the camera, but what do you do, fireman? Next question. And if you could say if it's for me or for the sheriff?
For both of you.
Cool.
We get a bunch of deputies out here. We started arresting crackheads and meth heads, and my neighbor's been arrested twice in the past 2 weeks. Where are you gonna put them? Is some of this money gonna go to the jail? Without a jail, this is useless.
Okay, so I want to talk about the funding of the jail, if you don't mind, real quick, Sheriff. The jail, to staff the jail, is fully funded, right? If we can find the people that want to work in the jail, it's completely funded. Folks, we have a crisis across our country, and Klamath County is not immune. Be safe, gentlemen. Be safe. Yeah. So we have a crisis across our country right now, and that is, we have a problem. Law enforcement officers are not being supported by the public the way they were just a decade ago, let alone when you and I were growing up. These poor young kids today, they look at cops and they don't hold them in reverence the same way we did when we were kids. And that's a problem. We've been talking about, and hopefully we can come up with a way to have a campaign, call it corny, but make cops cool again. Right? Where we can say being a cop is cool. When we respect the badge, we respect law enforcement officers. Because we've gotten to a point in our culture and in our country where we don't do that anymore. And that is all of our fault. And we have to do better. Because I can tell you right now, we're feeling it because we can't find good people that want to be cops. There's plenty of bad people that want to be cops. And thank you, Sheriff, for not hiring them. Because that's not who we want. So we're going to have to do a better job in our communities. Here, talking to those kids that are 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, saying, hey, when you get to age, have you considered a career in law enforcement? About having those conversations with our young people. Because, quite frankly, I don't blame a lot of people right now, not the way that we treat them.
I didn't hear you. So you're saying there is room in the jail? There's just nobody to watch them?
Correct. There is room in the jail. We have 3 pods, we're down to 1. We're currently trying to hire bodies to fill those positions so we can start running 24/7 with 3 pods. But finding the qualified people to fill those positions is where we're having the issues. And I'll put it out to this gentleman right here. If you want to come work in the jail, if you pass our test, you can be part of us.
Did my time.
That's what we fall into. People, we go through the SRO program, we try to get them where they want to go to law enforcement. Criminal justice program at KCC. Once they hit 18, there's 3 years. They find something else that they want to do or they get themselves in trouble. Now they're ineligible to be in law enforcement. So we're trying, it's just getting the bodies. And right now we can't recruit outside very well.
If you could put your hand up, I'll bring you the mic. This gentleman just put his hand up, sorry.
We asked, how much does the starting deputy get paid?
So right now, starting out is about $25 an hour. Top step, if you're paid out everything with all incentives, you're about $130,000. That's what it costs us to put that person in a patrol car and corrections.
2 questions for you. To my understanding is, who's going to fund the police officer to do the hiring?
Who's gonna fund them? I don't think so. Yeah, me too.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. To my understanding, you need 4 officers and a sergeant for this program.
This would do 5 or
Are you going to be hired,
4 to 5.
or are you going to send them to get certification?
So they'll have to do all certification. Right now, for a resident deputy, I will not put anybody out here with less than 5 years of experience. If I have a sergeant that's overseeing them, you can go 2, 3.
And will they be committed to the job? In other words, if they hire on, how long will they be committed to it?
So it depends on how long they want to stay. Right now, I put strings on the hiring process. If they're not going to fit in the department, they're gone. I just let one go today because he said the wrong things. He's not committed to the department, so see you later. I want to find committed people.
One more question. In a lawful shooting, who will cover the lawsuit if in case the family decides to sue?
It's still part of the sheriff's office and would be covered under our county insurance.
Okay, the town will be passed through.
Correct. The county pays for insurance to cover those types of incidents.
Thank you.
Thank you. Again, half deaf people, not half quiet.
Sorry about that, Bill. I am also half deaf, maybe more.
Alrighty, I feel sorry for you guys, the sheriff, because, TV, they do horrible things, kids mouthing off, spitting on you. They don't treat sheriffs like they did when I grew up. But we could have 15 sheriffs out here, the same people wrong, all of us, all year long, you guys know who they are, and go out to their house, you return the stolen stuff, nothing, they don't get a ticket, nothing, and then a week later they're back doing it again. If you have 5 more cops out here in this valley, what's it good to gonna do us to pay all that money? And they don't, before they even get to jail, they're back out of jail, and they're doing the same thing next week and nothing's done. I mean, your guys' hands are tied. So what good would it do us to hire 5 more people and pay thousands of dollars when you guys can't? It's not your fault. I get that, but something has to change in the law system to where we can do something, because the robbery is just, it's a joke, and nobody does anything about it.
So I'm gonna put this on you citizens.
That's why
Yes, we
don't
can
know.
arrest them, they get out. But you guys gotta go to the governor's office and start complaining, because they're the ones that make the regulations of what we can hold and what we cannot hold on. So you guys gotta be the ones making that complaint to them. We can only do so much. I have a zero tolerance for it. I want everybody to go to jail. Okay? And I will. If I have to do paper, somebody's going to jail for it if I do it. And I'm trying to get that implemented on my patrol deputies as well.
Was there someone over there first?
She had her, oh, okay. Might as well just work it.
Should be in that.
As far as I know, Bonanza had already had contracts with the Sheriff's Department for added patrol prior years. But yet White Mountain has more theft and more problems than any of these other surrounding areas. And why, when they already had sheriffs so close to here, was that acceptable? And how are you going to patrol places even further when they couldn't cover White Mountain from Bonanza?
Well, when I have the contracts, they can only do in town of Bonanza. That's it. How far is that? It's not even a mile and a half in each direction. That's the only place that those they can patrol when they're doing that contract. If you have the 5, it's the whole area they can do in town Bonanza as well as White Mountain.
Aren't they still county sheriffs?
They are still county sheriffs, yes.
I'll grab her and then I'll come back in.
So if this gets implemented, you guys start collecting your taxes, and you end up with $1,152,636 in your budget, and you haven't hired any deputies, does that just roll over to the next year, and next year you have $2,200,000? And does it continue to roll over until you hire? Or what's gonna happen with that money? Where is it gonna go if you can't hire anybody out here?
That money stays in that bank. It doesn't go anywhere else. It just keeps building until we can fill those positions. Once we fill those positions, you got 3 years, every year, 3 years, you have to get a new patrol car. So that money will keep building to replace materials and costs.
I want to add on to that just a little bit, right? So I don't know who's familiar with the budget process in the county. Every year we pass a budget and it has to go through a budget committee. The 3 commissioners, myself, Commissioner Minty, Commissioner Nichols, are half of that budget committee. The other 3 are citizen members. And we go through a whole process to put together the whole budget. One thing the board and I have discussed is creating a second budget committee. I cut out. A second budget committee, wow, that's better. Just for this district, so that the civilian members of the district or of the budget committee are from here. Nobody, aside from the 3 people that you're part of electing, that does not live here will have a say on how that money is spent. And I need to be clear, if there somehow is a situation where we're not able to hire everybody, you can build up a little bit of reserve so that you have money to make improvements, make the thing last longer, doing that kind of stuff. But you can also not collect it all. If it ended up where you couldn't hire people for a while, you don't have to collect $90 per tax lot. It's up to you. right? It's not all of it. And half of the members of the board, being you, would have a say in how that's done. Does that make sense? Does that help? Okay.
Did I just hear you say $90?
Okay, but I thought I covered that in the beginning. So when we came out here the last time, so I thought I covered this, it was $72. And then folks said, hey, make some changes to this so that we can combine tax lots, do things. And I said, it's gonna go up a little bit. If we do that, it's gonna go up a little bit, right? I was very forthcoming. So instead of it being 72, it ended up being 90 in order to make those changes so that you can reduce the cost of people that live here and your producers that own multiple tax lots. So it went up $1.50 a month.
Well, that was leading into my next question. Is,
Yep.
Because of multiple lots. What?
Eat the microphone.
Okay.
Yep.
What do you figure the percentage of lots that will be combined? In other words, a farmer, you can designate one lot, but he may own 5,000 acres.
Right.
And it may be 100 lots, so you're basing it on the total lots. And you're going to lose 99 of those lots.
So when we went from the 72 to the 90, that's part of that. We reduced that, especially on EFU, by 75% because producers are going to have the ability to decrease it by that. Does that make sense?
Do you have a number for the total amount of voters that will vote on this?
Total amount of voters, 5,672, I think. Yeah, so it changed a little bit with that incorporation of that area, but it's about 5,300 voters. And also,
Bonanza has about 2,000.
probably somewhere in that area. So,
They can conceivably control the whole thing.
yeah. To be clear, well, they wouldn't control it because it's still, I mean, they can say yes or no, right, when they're voting it up or down, but nobody has control over it. The control is your elected officials, right?
The biggest population center.
Yeah. And I've mentioned this many times, and I'm sorry if I skip over stuff. This is third, fourth time doing this, right? Only the people that live here, the registered voters in the district, get to vote. The people that don't live here, the absentee landowners that are causing the problem, they don't get a vote, but they do get a bill.
Okay, I'm gonna go up here and then I'm gonna two. So, a couple of things that I heard from the previous meeting. One is that the deputies, the force that is hired for out here stays within this map area. They don't go into Klamath Falls, Keno, unless there's an emergency, a SWAT emergency, something to the like, then they go. These police force are for East County. Second thing is we still pay county taxes. So we still have access to county resources like the jail and the sheriff's department. If there's an emergency here, those resources would be pulled here. I didn't hear those tonight, but I did hear those before, right?
Thank you, you're correct. All of that is correct.
So, Bonanza will be getting more, but one thing, if there's an investigation out here, and the deputies out here have to go to another part of the county, they have to investigate that. I'm not gonna have them pawn that off on another deputy, because that's their area. One thing I also want to hit on, if we keep getting cut, I'm looking at losing 3 more patrol bodies probably in the next 3 to 4 months. I told my sergeants in the sergeant meeting last week, we may go down to 2-man shifts. 2 patrol deputies for the whole county. So that's gonna slow your response even out here, anyway. I've worked with a 2-man crew for many years. I would start my shift, see my patrol partner in the morning, I wouldn't see him until the next day. So it's not safe for us either, but I may have to lower our patrol standards to 2 per shift. We're in a crisis, and I keep losing bodies. And talked with OSP, Josephine County, they had to take, OSP had to take over their calls for service. Right now, for Klamath County, they're saying they will not respond to any calls unless it's life-threatening. So, think about that when you guys are voting, right, folks? You guys make the decision, not me. I can only do what I can with what I'm providing and what I can give you.
That flow, they're not gonna get their time for what we're supposed to do.
I had a question about, single mothers, fixed incomes, things like that. You know, we've got elderly that are disabled and things like that. That how are they gonna, in these hard times, pay for that little bit when they can hardly pay their electric bill? Or, you know, how are they gonna do that? Financial assistance or?
It's gonna be tough. You know, if you look at what they want to do, they want to start cutting a lot of services to make people work.
I want to say this, and this is overarching. This isn't just about this, right? And I totally understand where you're coming from. Right. Are they going to lose it? I mean, it's part of the tax bill, right? So the tax bill goes up slightly. I get it. Things are tough, right? All of us are getting pinched. The price of everything is going up, and our dollar isn't stretched the way it used to be. If you go all the way back, and I'm going to get on my soapbox, and y'all don't mind, right? I told you I'd be here as long as you want. I know we've got some youngins, but Klamath County used to be one of the wealthiest per capita counties in Oregon. We got an email today, just part of this thing that DEQ does. There was a list of the most impoverished counties in the state. Klamath County was number one. And part of that is because of the federal government and the way that they have restricted our access to resources, the way they have restricted our access to timber, the way that they have continually cut resources to water. All of those take hits, right? But another thing is we're not able to provide adequate law enforcement. People don't necessarily want to move their businesses here because of the same reason that you told us to start working on this in the first place is because they don't feel safe. So this is my hope, right? And I can tell you, I believe in the sheriff. We've had some conversations and I believe in the sheriff. If we're given an opportunity to figure out a way to provide adequate public safety to this area, I believe the economy improves. I do. I'm an optimist. I wouldn't have this job if I wasn't. Right? But I believe in this community, and I believe in the people that live in this community. And I think he can do a good job. I think he can make us safer. You just heard where we're struggling with budgets. East County will have more deputies than the rest of the county if this were to pass. People ask, what do I get? The answer is a hell of a lot more than you got right now. Right? So, I believe he can do it. He has my support. I believe this is an answer to the problem that you gave us. So, it'll be up to you. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. This is your district and your choice. If you decide you don't want to do it, that's fine. I'll go work on the next thing that somebody else asked me to do. If it is, then we'll come through and try to provide the best service with the resources that you give us.
Oh, sorry. I didn't see
I
it.
can't hear you.
Salem?
Hell no. Yeah, this would be the Klamath County Sheriff's Office would have jurisdiction over it. It wouldn't work for the sheriff. The person that you elect to run it. And Salem has control over our laws, right? And what we can hold people for, but they don't have control over the way we run our departments. Definitely don't have control over him.
You're up.
An observation. You said that this would go up to $90 if we don't spend it to get it back. I've never seen the government take any money where you got it back, so you might as well just say $90.
No, not give it back. I didn't say that.
Or put it back, and then we get to put it back, or it
Well,
belongs.
you just, If you're not spending at a rate at which you're collecting it, you don't have to collect the whole thing. But
Okay,
nobody's sending you a.
that won't happen, that's my observation, I've never seen it done in 75 years. Okay, the other thing, that's just an observation, I'm a little concerned about, like code enforcement and squatters and whatever, and I don't know who these code, what kind of codes you're talking about. You can come on my property, I've been here for 27 years, I'm an Oregonian, I've lived here my whole life in the country, and might be a little sloppy compared to other folks. Actually, it isn't in my book. So, the county's getting a little crazy with code enforcement, in my opinion. And what are the squatters? They're the people who actually own the property, who are coming, and they're not doing what the neighbor wants them to do. I have a problem with that also. Now, thieves, people like that, that's a whole different story. I don't care who you are. If you're doing that stuff, I'm with you, put them in jail. But I've also worked for a lot of years, I was a small contractor, and I've seen the prices of these permits go sky high. It keeps people out, they can't come here, they can't do anything. And the codes are so strict. I've been building for a lot of years. And some of this stuff is bull you guys are coming up with. Not you personally, I'm talking about the county and the codes and the prices for this stuff. To build something is astronomical. And I understand the county wants more money, but we ain't got it.
I would say, so the code, enforcing the code or creating the code is nothing to do with money. It's about social expectations of your neighbors and the community in which they want to live. And those are the people that create the codes, right? Collectively, the community creates the codes with the social expectancy of how they want you to be able to have a neighborhood where everybody gets along.
So this is an ongoing thing? If you're from California and your expectations, your California expectations, you come here and you change everything? No.
Codes have been around for a long time. And building codes are there for a reason. I'll just say that. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to buy a house that doesn't meet code, and I don't think anybody else does either.
One other piece that came out in the last meeting, we're talking $90 a year per tax lot, $6-ish a month.
7.5.
The savings in our property insurance, our vehicle insurance, there was a number we threw out again. Susie Tyree knew the number. When we got the fire department here, and the fire insurance rate went way down, so it more than weighs out. And the cost of replacing a generator 4 times in 1 year is a lot more than $6 a month.
I bet. Thank you for that.
The cost of the equipment, cruisers, body armor, all that kind of stuff, is it going to be like hand-me-down stuff or brand new, or go to auctions, or how's that going?
So that comes into the miscellaneous portion. Right now, we have body armor, and it gets dated out. So we get new people we hire, they don't want to wear my sweaty old vest. So they're going to get hired on, they're going to get fitted, they're going to get equipped with all new equipment. So one thing I want to hit on, you seen the 3 different tax rate areas? You guys were the biggest pushers for this out here. North County, which would be the same dollar amount of 1.6 million, gets the same number of officers, 1 sergeant, 4 deputies. I'm pushing all my support to your area right now. I'm putting them on the back burner. So I need to know quick, if you guys don't want this, I'm going to put my support in North County. They're griping just as hard as you guys are. And I'm trying to get public safety in every place. If I can show you the other parts of the county, what I can do in East County, get it running, your model, I can make it create in other areas.
So I live in Beatty, and there's quite a few other people here that also live in Beatty. We obviously didn't have a baby meeting. It's sad because we all have a lot of questions too. And the fact that we don't live in Bonanza means we're not going to get as good of service from you guys as Bonanza residents will. But yet we have a lot of crime there as well. And I'm pretty sure we already pay taxes that fund the sheriff's department. So if we're paying an additional $90 a year, is that after deducting what we're already paying for sheriff's coverage, or is that in addition to it? And then if we're going to get pretty much the same coverage we already do, already out in Beatty, can we decide that we don't want Beatty involved in your district? Or does Beatty have to be included no matter what?
I'm going to take a piece of that really quick, and that is not having one of these meetings out in Beatty. I said it at the last meeting, and I've tried to be as vocal and on television and every meeting. Tell me where you want me to come out and talk, and I'll come out and talk. I went out to Sprague River. Folks helped me win, I don't know, and they're all running together. End of November, beginning of December, and had a conversation out there. If you guys would like me to come out and have a town hall, I think I speak for everybody. If you want us to come out and have a town hall in Beatty, happy to do that. Happy to have another one in Sprague River. The town of Bonanza did an amazing job trying to make sure that everybody in the area got, trying to get the word out so that you would be here. Because we're doing our very best to reach out to you and inform you so that you can make an informed decision. Also want to say, everybody pays so the county receives $1.73 per thousand. 5 cents of that automatically goes to Veteran Services. By the way, I don't ever want to change. If we ever live in a county that doesn't support veterans, just outright out of the gate, I'm not sure I want to be a part of that county. It's something that I believe in, I will always believe in. Next, that $1.73 pays for the jail, the district attorney, administrative services, juvenile services, all of these other things that we continue to have to provide. It just doesn't stretch as far. Just like everything else, it's not stretching as far. And what is suffering is patrol services. So by doing it, so the question is, why not just do one for the entire county? And the answer is, when we came out here and this started, folks said, we want something just for us. We don't want what we pay for to constantly be pulled back into the city of, the suburbs of Common Falls. Excuse me, Chief, I almost said the city. That's not right. But the suburbs, right? The south suburbs, the unincorporated area of the urban growth boundary of Common Falls, where the majority of the calls are. That's where the majority of the people are, right? So obviously they spend their time responding to those calls, and that's why you see a lack of response maybe out here. But maybe you don't see it this often. This is dedicated law enforcement to just this area. They don't go anywhere else unless there's an emergency through a mutual aid agreement, right? If there was a shooting and they're all backing each other up, then everybody responds. If there's something catastrophic, then everybody responds. Other than that, this is your department, right? They're here just for you. So you end up with dedicated service. These folks cannot spend these dollars anywhere else. Like it was reminded to me, and I didn't repeat it again this time. The dollars raised in the district are not allowed to be spent anywhere but the district. That's a misappropriation, right? Breaking it up into districts actually makes things a little bit more complicated for the sheriff's office, because he can't be as fluid with all of the people that are going to be there. They have to just work here. Well, what we heard was, if we're going to pay more, we want them to be here. And that's why it's not countywide. It's just for you.
For the East County.
How are we going to fix the amount of pink that's on that map? So they pay taxes. How are we going to fix the amount of pink that's on that map?
Sir, it's an amazing question. If I had an answer for you, I'd fix the entire West. Honestly. And I can tell you, your elected officials are fighting every day to try to force the federal government to live up to their responsibility in a community where they own nearly 60% of the land. But how do we fix that? I'm not running for Congress, so. Love y'all, but ain't happening.
Is there gonna be a cap on this? Like you're saying $90 a month for the year now per lot? Or is it gonna go like regular taxes and go up 3% every year?
Can't. It's a flat. It's $90. Can't go up.
So let's be frozen that then.
Can't go up. Not unless it came back to the voters and you decided you wanted to increase it. Can't go up.
Okay, thank you.
Back to your question up there, you live in Beatty. I've been contacted by people in Bly. They want us to come out and talk to them in Bly. They want to come out to Sprague. So in the next couple of weeks, we will be out there. If they're not, I will be because they want me out there pronto. Because they want to hear what we have.
Will there be any notification when that's going to happen? Go ahead. I mean, I got a card about this meeting.
So I'm going to put that on Bonanza right here. They did a very great job of sending cards out to everybody, and you wouldn't believe the money that they spent to do that. And look at the people that showed up. Not as many cards as they sent out. So trying to get a fast one out in Bly and Sprague is probably going to, it'll be posted on my Facebook at our office, and whatever you guys can do as individuals to get the word of mouth.
I just want to help out Shane, commissioners here, but you guys are worried about just being Bonanza. It's all.
It's back.
Okay. It's not just Bonanza, it's all of East County. You guys are concerned about just being Bonanza, but it takes up the whole county, East County. Okay, yeah, it takes up all of East County. Just not Bonanza. It takes up Bonanza, Beatty, Bly, Sprague River, Ranger Valley. It's not just Bonanza. I just wanted to clear that up.
And I don't want to speak for the whole town council, but I will say that we've had a lot of discussions about people thinking it's just going to be a Bonanza policing district, because that was one of our biggest concerns when we started talking about this, is that people are going to think, oh, they're just going to stay in Bonanza, and Bonanza's going to get all the police force, and we're going to be patrolling just the streets of Bonanza, and nobody's going to come to our home. And I would say, I mean, we can get a show of nods here, but none of us wanted that. And we actually discussed putting the facility somewhere else, not in Bonanza, so that it didn't look like it was just ours. We've talked about different things that we can do to just help you guys, because we don't, that's a big concern of ours as well, is that that was what was going to be thought. And that's not our plan whatsoever. Our plan is hit Beatty, hit Bly Mountain, go down towards Merrill Lane. We want those areas patrolled, because those are the areas where we have the most issues with theft and I can't even tell you everything, basically. That's where all the calls come from. I mean, he just said there was 240 calls from Derry to the county line. There's 20 calls in Bonanza. I mean, we're getting a ton of calls out here, and we don't want it to be looked at as the Bonanza Police Department. We want it to be looked at as East County. So we're going to fight for that as well, if I can speak for us.
So you say the budget committee shouldn't just be from, it won't. It's 3 people that are from the district. So people would apply, right? Anybody who lives in the district, is a registered voter in the district, could apply to be a part of that. We'll welcome 3 people. I'm sure the first year, like 100 of you are going to apply. So we'll pick 3, but we'll try to make sure that it's as diverse as possible. I'm just saying from my perspective, and I believe my colleagues would agree that, yeah, it needs to be a representation of the people that are out there. Okay, I hear what you're saying, but no, this isn't, the intent is to make sure all of East County is covered, including your home.
the idea that you're going to collect from the people who live out of state that own the properties, but will anything ever happen about the squatters on those properties? And do any of those owners even know that they have squatters on their properties?
So in regards to the squatters, we get calls quite a bit for people that just showing up on properties. The property owner has to be the one calling in to make that complaint for us to come out there and start that process.
So how do we do that when they live out of state? We don't have their phone numbers or their contact information. And I do know one of my neighbors that I was able to get it to the county, but she was didn't care basically.
So if you know for exactly if they're squatters, we can look up the TLO to find out the property owner. Generally, we can find the phone number.
Right, but I've also been told by the sheriff's department that they'd rather have them out there than on your streets.
Yeah. That's why you bring them out here.
What I definitely say to you guys, and I've heard a lot of it, I don't stand for it. So if I hear calls that do it yourself, don't do this, I can't do this, I can't, we're too busy, I need to hear that. Like, this Mike Smith that was sitting right here, he's now over in the doorway. He is my undersheriff. He was the resident deputy for Bonanza, Bly, Maryland when he was here in the 90s. So we're trying to change the culture in our department to make them work. So if I'm hearing that, they're going to be called in.
I think my name's John Wells, and I work with Sierra Cascade Nursery up in Yonah Valley. Last summer, we couldn't keep anything. We had an excavator stolen, 2 pickups stolen, fuel stolen, all kinds of stuff. The deputies were working as good, they were working at trying to figure it out. But I got really tired of nothing happening, so the commissioner that Commissioner Nichols replaced, what was his name?
Dave Hensley.
Okay, I had a meeting with him, and he told me that the city of Klamath Falls had offered to police the urban growth boundary, and the sheriff's department could go outside that area, so there's more saturation out here. Was that the truth? And he said that the reason that wouldn't happen is because our current sheriff, that personally I'm glad is gone, he said he would not allow that. He didn't want any part of that, and that's the story I got from our commissioner.
So I'm going to tell you, it should be the vote of the people. It should be on the commissioners contracting out to the city police for what we cover. So they were wanting to pay the city police what we were covering. So if they're going to pay the city police at one, I don't even know the numbers, why not give that to the county, give us more deputies, we can process more.
So that wasn't really the truth then, huh? Is that what you're saying? Or?
No, this is, Commissioner Hensley had a concept that he was working on, right? And he presented it, and we had discussions on it. But the reality is, there was no way to pay for it, right? So he had something that he was working on. There was no way to pay for it. Quite frankly, as Sheriff Mitchell just said, if we had that kind of money, we probably would have been investing it in the sheriff's office. We would have been doing something. Or maybe then, who knows? That money never, he came to us and be like, okay, how are you going to pay for that?
And I wanted to ask Sheriff Mitchell one other question. If we can get this put together and you got enough people and you got the jail working right and so on, will we have patrols like I think you told me or one of the other people said one of the reasons you're getting hit up at the ranch is because there's no patrols from 4 in the morning till 7. So will we be covered around the clock or how would that work?
So I'm working with that. So right now, even with the 5, we wouldn't have like 24-hour coverage. But they can adjust their shifts to work whenever people 40 hours a week. So if 2 want to work nights, and just change their shift. Because right now, they know our schedule.
Right, that's what you guys are saying, that they know when there's no presence, so that's when they're out doing their doing the.
And I'll be honest with the sheriff, when we went to the from 3 to 7, they posted that out all over the newspaper, the Facebook. I'll be honest, that was the dumbest thing to do, because I let the criminals know that we're not on duty. Right now, we're on call.
Thank you, everyone, for answering that. Thank you.
So, if we combine our lots, like mine, I've got 2 lots. One is unimproved. I pay far less taxes. If I combine them, how much more taxes am I gonna pay? Because now I've got a larger, improved lot.
Typically, from a credit standpoint, when you join 2 lots together like that, it would probably be worth less money. The more you cut a lot, the more the value it is. So we don't value in the property if you combine those 2 lots. So you pay less tax. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, because I mean, one has my house on it, one has nothing. If I combine them, then it's all improved.
Not necessarily, because you have excess land there that you can't do anything with now because you combine the 2 lots. So the value of the lot drops.
Okay.
I have 9 lots. My house and barns are 2. The rest of them are just for my animals. If I combine those with like the 4-acre lot, 4-acre parcels, 5-acre parcels, how would that affect me?
So as far as parcels as EFU, is that EFU land or is it non-resource or it's just pastures? So what we're doing with the assessor's office for EFU, it's not going to affect the value of that at all because we're not asking you to technically combine them. We're going to do administrative bits on our end of our office to just do it paperwork wise. So the value of your land will stay the same. It doesn't matter the size of the parcel, it just matters the number of parcels. So let's say you got 4 legal parcels. What's that? You got 4 and 5. So you're going to pay 3, if they're continuously meeting all the requirements, you have 3 $90 tax rates. No, you're combining them, and it doesn't matter if they're 3 acres or 100 acres. It doesn't matter to me, it's just legal parcels. That's how we're going to handle that.
So if we form this police district and relieve the burden of a deputy or several from south suburbs and the rest of the county, shouldn't they participate in this because they're gaining too?
Did you understand? Okay.
So you're saying if we get this district, the suburbs are going to gain? They're not.
They don't have to come out of it. Your deputies won't have to respond to it.
Well, in that aspect, yes, because those deputies in town will be able to work the cases there. They won't have to respond down here any further. So basically, again, best of both worlds.
But why wouldn't they help participate in this cost?
What's that?
Why wouldn't they help participate in this cost, in our cost? Because they're going to benefit.
So one thing that I think is we need to be clear, and we were trying to mention before, this provides clear, stable funding for the people that work and live out here. There is not today clear and stable funding for the people that work and will be working in the rest of the county. We're going to probably have to turn around and start talking about having other districts elsewhere in the county in order to provide the same level of service that we're talking about here. So this I can tell you, the people that are hired using the dollars that are raised out here will work out here. That is not necessarily the case that there's going to be clear and stable funding for the people that are in the department currently. Does that make sense?
Well, in a sense, what I'm saying is they're going to benefit because they have all the deputies available now.
There's always, when something is going well, right, the suburbs are a benefit of Klamath Falls Police Department. The people that live in the outskirts and the rural areas of Merrill-Lynn are the beneficiaries of those, but they don't pay for them, right? So there's always an ancillary benefit anytime you improve services anywhere in the county, right? So yes, will there be ancillary benefits elsewhere in the county by virtue of this passing? Absolutely. But no, they're not gonna, they also don't get a voice, and they also don't get a vote in the district.
So to answer your question better on that, if we open up countywide to do this, majority of the voters are within UGB, and say you guys want it out here, majority votes in there, they say no, you lose it everywhere.
What's the process to get this onto the ballot? Yeah, and a timeline.
So that started earlier this week, so that we can be ready. It has to be approved and voted on by the Board of Commissioners prior to February 28th. That's a very abbreviated timeline, right? So there's two ways things can be put on ballot. One is by gathering signatures, right? So by petition, and the other is by a majority of the vote of the Board of County Commissioners. The commissioners voted unanimously this last Tuesday to move forward with that process. The legal description of the district is being formed today. I was actually going back and forth with those staff members at the county today and forming that legal description. We're going to reach out to the town councils of Maryland-Malin to see whether or not they want their incorporated cities included in the district or not. Just trying to be a good neighbor. Let them have that voice. We'll finish that legal description. It then has to go through legal counsel. It then has to have a ballot title, and then that ballot title has to be approved by the district attorney's office, and then there's works to do in the clerk's office, and then hopefully by February 28th, we have it finalized and approved. This is very abbreviated. This is us trying to respond at the speed of business while being government to your concerns.
If you're going to try to put this on the ballot by February 28th, does that mean you plan on coming to Bly, Beatty, and Sprague River for meetings to see if the people there really want this? Because I don't think they've been asked.
Yeah, happy to do it.
When are you coming?
Let's set up a time. We can get it figured out tonight.
There you go.
Okay. Like I've said before, folks, just tell me where and when. I think as you've heard from everyone here, just tell us where and when.
We also have a really large elderly community around here. Elderly community, we have a lot of them around here. I know several people who could not make this meeting because they don't drive in the dark. And some are my neighbors, some are friends from work, and I was planning on calling them, but had we thought about sending out a comprehensive letter map to the people?
So this is being videoed, so hopefully some of them can watch it on YouTube. Go to the county's website. All of our meetings are there. They can go and find it, click on it, and it will be a YouTube video. So they can watch this all. And you can help them if they don't know how to use a computer. I bet you do, right? So you can help them and show it to them. And we get the word out. This is a community effort. And I can tell you, just the postcards was like $700-800 getting them mailed out to everybody. It's more. Yeah. How much more? I don't know. Anyway, it's expensive, right? So we're also not trying to spend a lot of money too. So help us get the word out. I think it was you said they heard it on the radio. It's being covered, so we're doing our best. But how do you get everybody? If I knew how to do that, I'd never lose a campaign.
I was curious about the budget because you're talking about the $90 per lot. So how much cushion is there in that? Because when you have those taxes, then you can't raise it again once you set your amount. So how much cushion is in there that we're not going to run out of money and be down to have that amount of staff, in 3 years or something?
So depending on who you ask, you're going to have a delta start to occur at probably about 5-6 years, and then you're probably going to have those reserves that extend this out to last about 10 years-ish, at which time, in order to maintain that same level of service, you'll have to say, okay, well, let's go back to the voters to maintain it as $91, something like that. So it does take care of it for a good bit of time.
If you're gonna have a central area where you're going to house your offices, who's gonna run your offices, who's gonna pay for your payroll, who's gonna pay for these deputies' homes, and where are you going to find them in this area?
So all the administrative services that you're talking about, human resources, finance, all of that is still absorbed by the county. So we take care of that, right? So all of that continues, right? Because they're county employees. Yeah, we take care of that. You're already, for the houses? We're not necessarily going to pay for houses. So one of the things that we talked about, this is a conversation that the sheriff and I have had. So number one, there needs to be a substation here, right? And second, we end up taking houses back through tax foreclosure periodically. Some of those houses are halfway decent. You don't necessarily have to sell them. You can retain them and provide housing for resident deputies. So it's a concept that we're talking about.
So we're looking at putting an office in Bonanza. It's more centralized for the whole area.
He's gonna come see you. No, you're good.
So Bonanza is going to be the centralized area. If you go from mile to mile, from Bonanza to the state line, from Bonanza to the county line, where's most centralized?
I have a question on the tax lot aspect of it. Over here. I have 5 tax lots, 2 of them are stupid small. You can't even pitch a tent on it. So per this memo, it's saying it's for farm use, but this is definitely not farm use. But one, I only pay maybe $12 a year on property taxes. I sure as hell don't want to pay $90 a year for that. So to combine them, how much of a turnaround is your department going to be able to facilitate that? Because I know when I purchased the other 2 lots, it took about a year and a half.
Our department will be dedicated to making this transition successful.
And is this a cost?
No, we're going to do this we talked about having an application fee. I don't want to charge an application fee, we just want to get it done. But if the residential lots, you won't be able to do it by application, you'll have to do the combination. There would be
the 2 small ones, you can't put anything on there.
I have a question. You mentioned the administrative costs for this district of ours. Would the additional time and cost be a percentage of the budget for out here? The budget committee would pay. The budget created by the levy we're talking about, annual levy, you mentioned all of the administrative costs, payroll, HR, so forth, with the county. Would the county, because there's additional work to be done, would the county take a portion of the budget from here to cover those costs, additional costs?
The short answer is a little bit, yes. It's probably not even that. We can go through the budget mechanisms that we use to create that. It's called internal services to pay for administrative functions, but yes, but it's going to be fairly small. It's pretty small. As a percentage of the budget, it's very small. Nothing has been collected yet, right? But we are, I would say that it would be my goal, I think all of our goals, to be as prepared as possible depending on how this looks like it's going. If it looks like it's going to be successful, we want the sheriff to start interviewing and hiring for people as quickly as possible. So all of that takes time too. So please keep in mind, it's not just putting out the applications and getting good applicants, which you guys are all going to help us do because you're going to talk to your friends and your family about getting good applicants. It's also a process about passing a background check, passing a site, and then getting sent to the academy and passing that and getting it done, and then spending a year as a trainee. So all of that has to occur. But I'm sure that there are some people out there, because this is a problem statewide, that are looking for a stable job with stable funding, because that is not as common as one might think all across Oregon. So my hope, and I think the sheriff would agree with me, that we would be able to attract transfers from other places where funding is suspect, and we would be able to put those people to work right away. And Sheriff, you can correct me if I said anything wrong. Year one, day one, there's not a whole lot to pay for, because it's going to take time to gear up, right? It just is going to take time to gear up and hire those people. So don't expect this to be a light switch. It's bringing on you.
Sorry, I kind of want to address this to Commissioner Nichols. And so everybody knows, I live out here. I live in this district as well. And I deal with the same exact things you guys do. I spent 5 years policing out here and dealing with all of the things you guys do too. So I understand it, I live in it, I'm a part of it, and I want to be a part of the solution. A lot of the questions I heard tonight, like yours, ma'am, a lot of it is the near target, the immediate thing, what's going to happen in the next year, 2 years. I really want you to put in your mind what's going to happen in the next 10 years. What's going to happen in the next 15 years? What is Beatty, Blythe, Bonanza, Spread River, the way we're going, what is it going to look like in 15 years for your kids and your kids' kids? I would prefer it to go a different direction, and I would prefer us to get a handle on the criminal activity, on the trespassers, on all of that, but we need the force to do it.
We'll stay as long as y'all want.
Do we have more questions?
After listening to a lot of the incidents and issues outside of the town of Bonanza, the theft, the trespassing, all of that kind of stuff, in relationship to the code enforcement officer for the county. Okay. I personally, 2 years ago, was a code enforcement officer for Bonanza for about 5 months until I had to resign from my wife had some issues. But I can tell you, I met the code enforcement officers at the time 2 years ago for the county, one of which is Earl. The code enforcement officers in a town of Bonanza or the county have ordinances that they go by. It's a written ordinance. Klamath County website has all of the code enforcement ordinances that the code enforcement officers are guided by. It's basically their rules that they have to follow to enforce the code for the county. It's online, it's quite transparent, it's accessible to anybody with a computer. You basically go to the Klamath County website and you can type in for a search as code enforcement, and there's a whole section there, I don't know what section number it is, but if everybody takes a hold of that computer of yours, you read what the code is for the county of Klamath, then it'll give you an idea of what the code enforcement officer with the police backup if needed. It tells you what the code enforcement officers can enforce. It will, what I suggest is that all the residents read those codes on there to the situation that you're upset about. And when you read that, you can get an idea of what you can tell the code enforcement officer. Well, this is what the code is, this is what is going on with me. How can we work together to resolve this? And that is the best way to do it. And as far as the police backup, when I was a code enforcement officer here, I know the processes for how the justice court works. I know the processes on what the court does. When Judge Oates puts a lien on something, the justice court helps with the lien process on properties to help pay for the citations that was issued. But as far as the police, if you, as a code enforcement officer, one time I did ask for the town of Bonanza as a police backup, and at the time Deputy Borges helped me with the citation that I had to issue because of the drug house right over here on Price Street 2 years ago. So the police are out there. Let's start tomorrow. Look up the code, county code for Klamath County, and then give me a head start. And you can look up what the code says and go forward with it and help the police before you call them.
Thank you very much. Anybody, anything else? Okay.
Thank you.
We all mentioned that we would be willing to have more. There's a stack, there's my cards. My number's on there, my email address is on there. Tell us where we need to be. There's some more from Mr. Nichols.